Okay, so I've just watched a video of the group known as Britain First, a group of two men and a woman barging their way into a South London mosque. I believe it was Crayford Mosque. Um, and basically they confronted the elderly imam and said, "We are Britain First. We want you to remove the sexist signs outside your mosque." The imam was asking them to remove their shoes as a matter of respect. They ignored that, they refused to do it. The woman started talking about how we respect equality between men and women in this country, how we've come a long way, and how this sounds sexist. There's a few points I want to make about this. First of all, I don't agree with segregation in any religion. I don't think it's right. But sexist, I'm not sure about that. Segregation means separate areas for men and women. It's not saying the men have a better area, it's just saying that it's separate. Now, I'm not saying I agree with that, but I don't see how it's sexist. I don't see how that is saying that Muslim women are less. I don't see any evidence that that would insinuate that. It's saying they're divided between men and women. I don't see how it's sexist. Wrong, perhaps. Sexist, I don't see how that is, because it's, from what I saw on the sign, it was saying sisters here, brothers here, so it's dividing men and women, but it's not saying that the men are better. The second point, if their issue is really about sexism, then why are they not doing the same thing in Jewish synagogues and Sikh gurdwaras, which also have segregation? So I think sexism is being used as a cover by Britain First. Everything I've seen from this group, I'm convinced they're a bunch of far-right thugs, and they use the real problem of Islamism as a cover for their activity, because what they do is they demonize all Muslims as one and the same. So this isn't an organisation, despite the propaganda, that is just tackling the likes of Anjim Chowdhury and other nasty Islamists who definitely exist in society. I mean, you'd have to be asleep if you didn't think that there was a problem with political militant Islamism. But what this organisation does is it basically has a poisonous, divisive agenda, them and us. And it's exactly the sort of thing this country doesn't need, because it is demonising all British Muslims as one and the same. That is dangerous, whatever way you look at it. And the arrogant bullying way they just barge into places of worship, calling themselves a battalion, and having this warlike music in the background of their video, it's pathetic. It is utterly pathetic. I have no problem with Britain First, or anyone for that matter, speaking out against actual Islamism. And no doubt they will say, well, segregation between men and women is not acceptable in this country. But there's another way they could do that. Barging into a mosque and trying to shout down an elderly imam is not the way to do it. How would they feel if a bunch of Muslims barged their way into a church and done that? I mean, and the guy to use Christianity, he says, "I'm a Christian." A lot of Christians would have nothing to do with the likes of Britain First. He may well be a Christian, may well believe in God, whatever, but the point is, this organisation, if you look at their background, do not be misled into thinking these are decent people who just want to take on Islamic extremism. Look at their website and look at some of the ideas that they promote. This is an organisation that believes in public executions. They're no better than Islamists. They're really no better. And as much as I don't want Islamists in this country, nor do I want far-right nutjobs like Britain First, who shamefully use the military for their propaganda, who use false arguments about sexism. This isn't about sexism. This is about trying to bully minorities in this country. So just don't be misled by Britain First, because there's a much darker side to them than what they try to portray. I mean, look at the way they dress. They dress basically like Benito Mussolini's fascists. This sort of military regalia. I mean, you just have to ask yourself, what is the agenda with that? It's not like they were confronting a bunch of Al-Qaeda activists here. This was an elderly imam who was minding his own business. And, if they have a problem with the sign, maybe they could have written to the council and brought it up with the council. But to barge into a mosque, a place of worship, and make these sort of threats, for example, the guy says, if you don't take it down within a week, we will. The point, again, I make the point, I'm not justifying segregation for a second, but it's not sexist. It's saying that men and women are separate, but it's not saying the men are superior to the women. I don't see any evidence of that. So, yeah, it's just, this is typical Britain First behaviour. And again, if they really care about sexism, if they really think that is the issue, why are they not doing the same thing to Jewish synagogues and Sikh gurdwaras? So it shows the utter hypocrisy and stupidity of Britain First.